word to wise. Grass only greener when it's fertilized. Gave them truth in these songs, they prefer to lies. Destiny beautiful, adrift in her purple lies. You can't see me, you Stevie. Wondering how I reach more evolutions than Evie and make it look easy.
What is up, Earth's mightiest subscribers? It's Ernie, Blerd without fear. Welcome back to the channel. All right, today's video, we are going to be talking about Eternals, number 8 by Kieran Gillen and Assad Ribic. And in this video, we are going to be discussing exactly why the Mad Titan Thanos, now that he has become the Prime Eternal, why does he still need the Eternal Phastos' help? We're going to talk about this and more right now. But first, if you want to see more awesome videos like this one, make sure you hit that subscribe button, because I post multiple videos throughout the week, plus live stream the Blerd Cave every Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. So hit that bell button. That way you don't miss anything. Also, if you enjoy the video, I humbly ask that you Hulk smash that like button, because it really helps the channel out. That said, let's talk about Eternals, number 8. Last time we left off with the Eternals, we discovered that Thanos had become the Prime Eternal. Now, granted, this was due to some manipulating of things behind the scenes, thanks to characters like Druig. Thanos and Druig were able to sway the other Eternals within the Unimind, allowing Thanos to dethrone Zurus, who has, for pretty much almost the entirety of the Eternals publication history, has been the Prime Eternal. Now that honor belongs to Thanos. And we talked about how in the previous issue that over the course of Kieran Gillen's run of Eternals that Thanos has been living a bit of a half-life. Now, I'm not going to go into the entirety of the details here, but just know that Thanos is not at his full strength. His body is, for the most part, breaking down on him, and the reason why Thanos wanted to become Prime Eternal in the first place was because it would secure his place within the machine, allowing him to be resurrected the way other Eternals have been. Thanos has been incredibly meticulous in all of this. He has basically cut off all loose ends. He's been working with Druig pretty much almost this entire time, and Thanos himself, realizing that Druig was going to hold not just him helping him with Phastos, but also the swinging of the election in his favor, he knew that Druig was going to hold all this over his head as well, and he made sure to kill Druig and erase his memory so that he wouldn't be aware of exactly what it is that he had done for Thanos or any other secrets that could be used against him. Thanos has pretty much set himself up for prime success, pun intended. He rules the Eternals now with an iron fist, and he is so dangerous and deadly that even other Eternals who work for him now don't really want to screw him over for fear of what he might do to them. Even the character Domo, who some of you may not remember, or if you are only familiar with the Eternals movie, you will probably hear the name Domo and think of the ship that the Eternals use in the MCU film. This is actually a character who dates all the way back to Eternals number 5 in 1976. He's a scientist by trade and was pretty much Zurus's right-hand man. Well, right now, Domo is the right hand of Thanos, and even Domo, who has been around a long time, and he possesses all the powers of other Eternals, so it's to reason that he is more than capable of defending himself against someone the likes of Thanos, especially a Thanos who's not at the full height of his powers, but even Domo is afraid of him, and for good reason. That said, Thanos, even with Domo's help, cannot be integrated into the machine, at least not completely, and the reason why is likely because of something that Phastos did. Even Domo earlier had to point out that whatever it was that Phastos did, he has no clue how to replicate. What Phastos was able to do is something that should have honestly been impossible, and that's even with Thanos having eternal physiology. We must remember, Thanos is, for all intents and purposes, the child of two Eternals. So why isn't Thanos a part of the machine? This is very likely due to the unconventional nature of how Thanos was born. Eternals naturally cannot produce children that are Eternals. They can, however, have children that, are of whatever species they are procreating with. We've known in the past that the character Athena has had at least 3 different children in her lifetime, all of which turned out to be, for the most part, normal humans, with the exception of her son Joey, who turned out to be more than what he appeared, but we never really got a full, complete answer on exactly who and what he actually became. But in the case of characters like Thanos and Star Fox, who are both the children of the Eternals' Mentor and Sui-san, they were born unconventionally by way of using the quantum bands when Mentor and Sui-san conceived these children. This puts them in kind of a weird spot, and very likely the reason why they're not part of the machine. And because of however it is that Phastos put Thanos back together and resurrected him in this unconventional fashion, now Thanos needs Phastos once again. This makes things even more interesting because originally when Phastos revived Thanos was beholden to him, and granted they had kind of made a devil's bargain with one another, it seemed as though Thanos had found a way to undermine it. But now he needs Phastos, and what's going to make this even more interesting is that whatever method it was that Phastos used to put a kill switch inside of Thanos, that memory was wiped away by Druig. And we also must remember Thanos, in resurrecting Druig points out that he's lost several months worth of time, which very likely means that he lost any knowledge that he wiped this memory away from Phastos. And if he did in fact wipe this memory away, would Druig actually even be able to put that memory back? Especially if he doesn't remember what it was he took in the first place. That is very hard to say, and of course, if Phastos doesn't remember the kill switch, he may or may not remember exactly how he resurrected Thanos in the first place. So Thanos' arrival in Lemuria demanding Phastos' help, this might be for nothing. Now, of course, Thanos' arrival is not necessarily without its surprise, because we also must remember the core Eternals, they had no clue that Thanos was elected as the Prime Eternal. They don't find out until Thanos' arrival, so this makes this even more interesting considering everything the Eternals have been up to since they've been in Lemuria. They've been trying to figure out how to change in the way the Deviants do, but in their trying to change, they seem to be just doing more of the same. Eternals are completely incapable of evolution, of changing. They are static individuals and will always be what they are. They can't necessarily break the cycle, as it were, in the way the Deviants can, both figuratively and literally. Deviants are able to change, even going through something that they call the change, what Eternals call excess deviation. And it's this that encourages Eternals to kill Deviants. And even though they feel like, in the eyes of the other Deviants, they're doing a service, because even Deviants fear going through the change, becoming deviated to the point that they become total monsters. And even though they recognize that the Eternals are merely helping them in killing these excessively deviated Deviants, they still see the Eternals as just doing what they've always done, and that's killing more Deviants. This is actually what is encouraging some of the Eternals' current actions, what's encouraging Icarus to try and learn how to fight the way Deviants do, even reaching out to some of the Eternals' stalwart allies among the Deviants, characters like Ransack and Carcass, to teach him how to fight the way Deviants do, not just fighting like an indestructible Eternal, but fighting like someone who actually has to fear dying. We also know that Cersei behind the scenes has been manipulating matters, even manipulating events regarding Icarus, trying to keep the secret of Eternal's resurrection, the fact that when an Eternal dies and is resurrected, a random human dies to power the Eternal's resurrection. And Icarus was very close to explaining this to Toby Robson's family, the same child who died so that Icarus could be resurrected. Apparently, in the previous issue, Eternals number 7, when one of the Tricks, Jack of Knives, threatened Icarus with killing the Robson family or anyone else, warning him that anyone that Icarus explains how eternal resurrection works to will die, that he will kill Robson's family and anyone else that Icarus tells. Now, initially, it seemed like something very random that Jack of Knives did just, to protect the eternal secret, but now it makes even more sense that Cersei did this, because why would Jack of Knives care if humans knew how Eternals worked? He doesn't really seem to care about much anything other than money. But Cersei definitely has something to protect, because not only does she need to protect how humans view Eternals, considering that she spends a lot of time among them, but it's also very likely to do with the fact that she doesn't want the Avengers snooping around how the Eternals are resurrected either. You see, it's not just the X-Men and mutant kind who are trying to protect the secrets of how they resurrect, but the Eternals, they definitely don't want anybody snooping around either. But yeah, all that is to say that, the Eternals, well, of course, has been great since issue number 1, since Kieran Gillen's taken over, and honestly, this is the best that the book has been since Neil Gaiman was on it back in 2006. It's been a good while since we've had a legitimately good Eternals comic, at least on this level. Everything is pretty solid here. The storytelling has been excellent, and everything that Kieran Gillen is setting up, he's doing just enough to kind of give you some nods and ties towards the MCU film, but also doing just enough to differentiate it and give you something fresh. I really like it. But anyways, let me know what you thought about Eternals number 8. Keep it plus ultra and sound off in the comments.